Hey guys, I'm Ryzen, and in this video, I'm going to analyze one of my ayahuasca visions. So, on the first night I did ayahuasca, I experienced traveling to many strange places. At one point, I found myself in front of a huge pyramid, and atop of the huge pyramid was a huge floating eye. And coming down from the sky was a colorful rainbow enveloping the eye. And I believe, if I remember correctly, I could hear some sort of electric power sound, like a current was slowly flowing through the air. While standing in front of the pyramid, I felt a sense of calm, peace, and understanding. But I was also excited and just a little puzzled as to why I would be standing in front of the image that is depicted on the US dollar bill, which up till that point I thought was just some made-up symbol. But in that moment, I had a revelation that whoever put this on the dollar maybe didn't make it up at all. But maybe they were there also somehow at some point in time. And maybe there's just something deeper behind this symbol. I was super surprised because before my ayahuasca trip, that symbol meant absolutely nothing to me. So, digging deeper into its meaning, I'm going to share with you what I found in my research. So, according to one post, the Egyptians called this symbol the Eye of Horus. Some Christians call it the Eye of Providence, and some Buddhists call it the Eye of the Worlds. According to folks on various forums such as Reddit, people have seen a combination of eyes and pyramids during DMT trips, ayahuasca trips, and mushroom trips. So it is a common theme. Let's take a look at an excerpt from the book Supernatural by Graham Hancock, who had this to say about one of his ayahuasca trips. He said, "For a while, not much else happens. Then suddenly, without preamble, I get a display of zigzags, pyramids, tribal masks, one after the other, as though briefly illumined by the brightest spotlight. They seem to jump out of the darkness and then disappear. It's a grand finale of another visit to the Ayahuasca anteroom. As the display fades, ordinary reality replaces it, and my consciousness engages itself completely with the material world again. End quote. In a later trip, he has this to say: I have a series of small and certainly not terrifying visions. There are a few snakes. Several times, I see multiple rows of green pyramids laid out in long tapering strips. I seem to be flying over these strips. I also see a spear, a cube and triangle, and rows of serpent or alligator mouths full of teeth. End quote. Again, the mention of pyramids during the trip. But what do these eyes and pyramids potentially mean? On Wikipedia, it states something along these lines. The Eye of Horus is an ancient Egyptian symbol of protection, royal power, and good health. Funerary amulets were often made in the shape of the Eye of Horus. The symbol was intended to protect the pharaoh in the afterlife and to ward off evil. Ancient Egyptian and Middle Eastern sailors would frequently paint the symbol on the bows of their vessels to ensure safe sea travel. So that's the end of that excerpt from Wikipedia. Now, I personally saw this symbol at the beginning of my trip. Is it possible that it was meant as a symbol of safe travels? Who knows? Let's take a look at another interpretation on a Buddhist website, which had this to say about eyes. So, on virtually every Buddha statue, Buddha head, and Buddha stupa from countries like India, Nepal, Thailand, Burma, China, and others, there are pairs of eyes casting down as if in a meditation state and enriched with a spiritual aura. This style has been a model for various generations of artists while depicting them in various Buddhist heads and images. In Buddhism, there are two kinds of eyes. First, the inner eyes, or eyes of wisdom, which sees the world of Dhamma, which is also known as the third eye of the Buddha, while the other is called the outer eyes, which is also called as material eyes, which sees the outer world. End quote. But I don't think that's what I was looking at, because in that definition there were no definitions or there were no associations with pyramids. So let's take a look at a different definition. for the Eye of Providence on Wikipedia, it has this to say. The Eye of Providence, or the all-seeing eye of God, is a symbol that depicts an eye, often enclosed in a triangle surrounded by rays of light, or glory, meant to represent divine providence, whereby the eye of God watches over humanity. A well-known example of the Eye of Providence appears on the reverse of the Great Seal of the United States, which is depicted on the US $1 bill. End quote. There's another quote related to that, where it says, on the version of the seal that would eventually be approved, the eye is positioned above an unfinished pyramid of 13 steps. Again, symbolizing the original states, but also incorporating the nation's potential for future growth. End quote. What's interesting is, in my vision, the pyramid was completely finished, and the eye hovered above the pyramid, and not as part of it. Also, there was a beam, a rainbow beam, illuminating the eye from the top. So could that have a different type of meaning associated with it? Personally, because I didn't feel any fear or terror while in front of the eye, but I did feel a sense of safety. I feel the eye was benevolent. It was looking out for me. I mean, there are other online posts that say that the eye represents the consciousness of the universe. So those are a few meanings that I found through research regarding pyramids and eyes, or the combination of pyramids and eyes. Now, in terms of integration, I've begun using the symbol in my art, not really tied to one belief system, but specific to my own experience. I use it as a symbol of hope and positivity. I think that's one of the many great things about visions. Even though other people have defined the meaning behind these visions in the past, really, the meanings can come from a personal place inside of us, depending on what we've experienced. Alright, so that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving it a like or hitting that subscribe button. Or consider sticking around on the channel to listen to some music and enjoy some original art. Links to any reference material for this video should be found in the description. Thanks for watching. I'm Ryzen. I'll see you later.